You're listening to the Master Your Real Estate Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Paige Schulte. My journey started when I moved to a new state and started my real estate career with zero experience and zero contacts. Seriously, guys, I knew one person when I moved to my new city. And after 2 years, I became the #1 solo agent in my market and built a consistent 6-figure business. I know when it comes to marketing your real estate business, the struggle is real. If you are ready to build the thriving, profitable business you're meant to have, you're in the right place. If I can do it, so can you, and this podcast will help to show you how. Okay, guys, we're here with Jeremy Poole of Poole Media. And Jeremy, dive in a little bit to your background and kind of set this up, because we're going to talk about creating a presence online with video and delivering with confidence, which is a course that you have that's coming out in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And I'm really excited to talk about things that I'm super excited about and that have had a major impact on my business and just my life in general. So my background has been entrepreneurship since day one. So after, or even during high school, I knew that I was not going to college. I knew for sure that I wanted to be a business person, a businessman running small businesses, but nobody in my family and nobody really in my proximity either owned a home or had their own business. But I just knew that I would be successful in business. So starting my first moving and storage company when I was 19 years old, started it from my mother's apartment, wound up growing that into a pretty successful business, operating for about almost 7 years. It was a moving and storage company, and we wound up acquiring large contracts with Cost Plus World Market, Pier 1 Imports, Macy's Furniture, Costco, you name it. We expanded really quickly, and I discovered how to market myself. I discovered how to present myself in a way that I was, even though I was young and experienced, I was able to grow a business. And I think primarily based on my marketing techniques.
I started my first business at 23 in California, and I was working with families. And they were like, "You're too young to be doing this." Did you ever get that kind of reaction?
No, actually I didn't.
Probably because you're male.
So no. So what was funny, and I took as a compliment, was I really paid attention to how I communicated. I really paid attention to how I spoke. Mm-hmm. And I was conscientious enough to realize that a minority teenager coming to these billion-dollar companies and asking for a major contract would be weird. And so I wanted to present myself as if I was polished and cultured and educated and all this and that. And so I presented myself over the phone, probably in a way that they weren't expecting a 19-year-old minority to. And so when I showed up and I said, "Yes, I'm Jeremy Poole. I'm here to meet with the CEO. I'm here to meet with whoever was in charge," whoever my meeting was with, they always looked at me puzzled, like, "You're Jeremy." And so I would build rapport with them immediately on the phone and have them laughing, and we'd have a good time. And I knew things I probably shouldn't have known, or they would think a 19-year-old kid would know. And so once we actually met, they're like, "You sound like Jeremy, you act like Jeremy, but I wasn't expecting you to be Jeremy." And so from there, immediately there was this rapport and a sense of respect. And I think we weren't the largest company. We definitely weren't the most experienced, but I think I was able to get people at the top rooting for me. And that's been my strategy from day one, is figure out what the people at the top need for them to win and really build my business around that and my marketing around that. And so once they actually meet with me and encounter me, they're willing to sort of overlook things and really get to a point where they're like, "You know what, if we're going to work with a particular company and give one business all of this revenue, I'd much rather have it go to Jeremy because I like him as a person."
Yeah. Scaling trust.
Yeah. And scaling trust. So I sort of acclimated and adapted that approach to business and all the things I've done and now in marketing.
Okay. So from there, you went to mortgage.
So yeah, exactly. So from there, I went to mortgage. I got into mortgage in 2009, which is like right during the time when mortgage brokers had to get licensed. That was a fun experience because from my perspective, at this point in time, I've already purchased 2 homes and just made way too much sense. Like, yes, absolutely, you should be licensed and have to pass a exam if you're going to be funding loans. And that was a really interesting period of time because most of the people in our office could not pass the test. I think the two branch managers, myself, and one of the most senior loan officers were like the only people who passed on the first go around. Like everybody else had to take it multiple times. So, obviously learning marketing techniques, cold calling, scheduling meetings, and things of that nature. But I knew I wanted to get out of that space as soon as possible. Wound up moving up to Seattle, Bellevue area, first Seattle for a year. And then I started a investment fund in Kirkland that sort of morphed into a tech company, which we moved to San Diego for 4 years, sold my interest in that, and then got back into the mortgage business in late 2015 or early 2016. And coming back into a situation where I'm used to just wearing a tank top, flip flops, and working on the beach from my laptop, and then going back into sort of corporate America type environment where, you're working in a beautiful office, but you're expected to wear a certain wardrobe, suits, which I do enjoy wearing suits, but it was mandated, right? You have to be here at this that time if you want to be successful in the mortgage business. At this particular company I was with, they were really focused more so on building relationships with top realtors like yourself versus cold calling leads, which I liked. But their strategy was archaic, I thought, it does work. It just takes time. I want you to make a list of 45 agents that you're going to call every single Monday. I want you to spend all day Monday calling your referral partners or people that you want to convert into partners, and then set meetings, lunches, coffees, all that, then build your business from there. The number one guy in the county as a lender at that point in time was in my office. He was doing between 13 to 20 transactions a month, which at this time was a lot, and obviously still is. But he's been in the business for 13 years. And I thought to myself, there's a better way. There is a better way, because although this particular individual has substantially more experience than me doing mortgage just in general, but I haven't done a mortgage in over 6 years. Mm-hmm. And so the question becomes, why would a real estate agent, let's say, for instance, who's currently using him or somebody of his caliber, why would they be interested in working with a guy who hasn't done a mortgage in 6 years, right? Makes no sense. But I knew that I had more business experience, I had more marketing experience, I had more presentation experience than all lenders in my market. And so I thought to myself, how can I put myself out there? Because I feel if I can just have more meetings with more top agents, they're going to give me a shot, not based on my turn times, not based on my interest rates, but based on who I am. I think they would choose me over somebody who's more successful as a lender at that particular time in my life. And so I immediately thought, I need to start hosting events. I need to start hosting really sexy, swanky events. Because number one, I just moved from Del Mar, San Diego, living this beautiful lifestyle, condo on the beach, to moving back to Washington, and the lifestyle was completely different. And I was craving sort of that high-end social interaction that I was used to. So that gave me an opportunity to sort of put myself out there, because I didn't feel right promoting myself as a mortgage lender because I haven't been one. But by creating a nonprofit organization called the PNW Real Estate Social Club, I could market myself aggressively as the director of that, which simply just raised money from large companies to fund these high-end networking focused on real estate events. And so once these top brokers came to my events, and they're always at the nicest venues.
Let's talk about, so you're looking at how do you set yourself apart and give brokers an experience that tie you to kind of a leveling up of the industry?
Yes, and branding. By them coming to events that represent who they're trying to become anyways, by making that path and making that process easier, they're going to correlate and refer to me as somebody who's a integral part of them becoming who they are.
And so it's memorable. I think that's one of the big things. One of the things that I hear you saying is that you had to do something that was different, but it was also risky and putting yourself out there.
Very
and
big,
a lot of times when you are trying to break into an industry, I mean, that's what I had to do. I had the business acumen. I had run companies before, but this is me coming into a whole new space. In order to make a splash, you have to do something that's a little uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But you're like, how can you go wrong with swanky parties?
Right. Well, that's because my whole approach to marketing is actually super simple. Like, art imitates life and vice versa. And so I just wanted to produce something that I would come to anyways, that I would pay for, that I would get my hair cut for and go spend a bunch of money on a new outfit so I can see and be seen. And so I just created those types of environments and promoted it first and foremost as this is the sexy thing to do if you are a mover and shaker in real estate. If you're not a mover and shaker, then don't show up. If you are a mover and shaker, then show up. And that's exactly how I marketed it. And that's how
it's an opportunity for them to network, appear busy,
yes,
give them content for social media.
Brand build, exactly.
Build that brand and shift perception into reality. And
yes, that's huge right there. Shifting perception into reality is what I'm all about.
Yeah. And then did you, in order to kind of create the momentum around this, you had a Facebook page, am I right?
Yeah, I did. And so we created a Facebook page, a logo on Fiverr. I spent $5 creating this logo on Fiverr. I still love it.
You guys do not spend much time and money on it. Like the logo is not your brand. It's just like throw that up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get caught in the weeds. Like you don't have to have the perfect name. Like you don't have to have the perfect logo color scheme. Just think, Facebook, Twitter, Google, like those are like big obvious names now, but those were probably really dumb names to a lot of people in their circle, like Facebook, like that's a pretty horrible name. Right. And so I just executed in a really, really aggressive way. I broke everything down in terms of what does success look like. And for me, success was renting out the most expensive venue in Pierce County, which was the Glass Museum and still is. Second, it was how do I fill it? How do I sell out? Because if I can come back into this market, rent the most upscale event or venue and sell out at the highest price point on New Year's at a time where I'm competing with Bellevue and Kirkland and Seattle for New Year's parties, like literally everyone told me I was out of my mind. And I was. I didn't realize that this event was going to cost me like $58,000. I had no idea because I've never done anything on this scale. And the only event I've ever done up until that point was an event 2 months prior across the street at the Social Bar and Grill. And that was a very successful event. We had 85 people show up and I got 5 loan transactions that actually closed from agents I've never even met before. But on the spot, they met me. They're like, who's this Jeremy Poole guy? Where is he? I'm like, well, I'm Jeremy. And it turned into, well, why are you doing this? And I was honest with them. I think that's what worked is that I've never lied. I've been honest. It's like I created a marketing camp directed to people at your level. I got a list from a friend who's doing all the most business in this county and in King County. You were on the list. And I created a marketing campaign using Facebook ads. And that's what got you here. They're like, so you did all of this just to meet me? I was like, yeah, well, otherwise I'd have to call you and invite you to lunch or coffee, and that would be lame. And they're like, I love you, dude. That's brilliant. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny now because I have great relationships with lenders now that I never met through coffee or anything like that. But they're like, we should go to lunch. Like we do really enjoy it. But it's another phone call and all that can be exhausting. And no offense to all the mortgage people out there, but I'm working on something right now for my market, which is so over the top.
Okay.
But it's in the same idea. So I have a very small farm. Well, it's not small. It's my neighborhood, but my neighborhood is giant. It's like 720 homes. And I'm doing a 4th of July parade. It's pretty basic. That's like, you can count on that from a real estate agent. But I know a lot of people won't be able to make it or they won't come. And the invitation is actually going to be one of those subscription box style invitations. So that'll come as a 4th of July parade party pack and the invitation will be inside. Yeah. And even if they can't come, they'll have sparklers and balloons. And like you're saying, different than a postcard. You know, the other real estate agent is doing one on July 3rd. Mine's July 4th. Great. More the merrier. Go USA. But her invitation is going to be that basic postcard like you would see for a real estate. And mine's going to be like a freaking party pack, a party in a box.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, because it's human, right? It's like,
Yeah.
if you want to get attention on you, then you have to put attention on them. And so sending them a postcard with your logo and your face, like you're not adding value. All you're doing is just taking up mental space. But by sending them a party pack, that shows that you actually care. Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, but it's slightly ridiculous and a huge investment, but it's going to be so
Yeah.
memorable. And in comparison, it'll be like, okay, well, this is what she's doing just to throw a party and tell us about it versus the other, who knows if it'll come off that way, but I definitely wanted to make a splash. And right now, with so much noise out there in the world, I think finding ways to really cut through and niche down is super important, just like you're saying, with inviting the people that really are your ideal clients.
Yes, I love that. And you should totally quantum that by doing a video, whether it's something really high-end professional video or just getting a bunch of footage with your cell phone and then hiring somebody, even on Fiverr, for instance, you can stitch all that together into a highlight video. But that's something that I've received huge return on investments from.
Okay, so from your days throwing parties at the Glass Museum, now what are you doing?
So let me just give you a quick little snapshot of how I got from then to here. I was wanting agents to reach out to me versus me contacting them. And from that event, that's exactly what happened. Some of the biggest agents in Seattle and Bellevue start reaching out and saying, hey, Jeremy, first of all, who the hell are you? Where'd you come from? And how are you able to afford all this when you just started? And I was honest with them. I sat down and said, look, listen, I was bored. I wanted to approach things a little bit differently, do something a little bit more audacious. And I wanted to get your attention. And so beyond that, I really don't have like a big master plan besides hopefully we become friends and you want to work with me.
I think
I love your honesty. This is great.
An important aspect of that is that as an entrepreneur and as a mindset of an entrepreneur, you knew you could scale quicker if you made bigger investments into your business, and you decided to invest from the top instead of little tiny things because you were being conservative or scared.
Exactly. Definitely swung for the fences. That could have really put a dent in everything. And in fact, it almost did. 35 days prior to that event, I had 30 tickets sold. That means I'm in the hole a lot of money.
Time to hustle.
So what happened was I did a big marketing campaign and it seemed like it wasn't working at all. And so I pretty much just said, okay, I made a big fool of myself. I'm going to bounce back. But wow, I basically told everyone this is going to be the biggest, baddest, sexiest New Year's party Pierce County has ever seen. And I have 30 people coming. But next thing you know, as soon as I basically raised the white flag, 20 tickets sold and then 30 more.
Yeah. So
670 tickets.
Amazing.
So that in itself was a huge lesson, is that if you are going to do an event, expect everyone to buy tickets late.
Last minute, especially real estate agents. We don't know our plan until like 3 hours before.
No. Right. And that's scary. So from there, I started having lots of conversations, deeper conversations around how they got to where they're at. And it seemed like all of them had a moment in their life. And so I came up with this concept for a talk show called The Moment. Immediately asked 5 of the top 10 in Pierce County to be on my show. All of them said yes. The first shoots of my talk show, The Moment, were just awesome. One takers. Everyone had a great time. And the show was like pretty much a success immediately, causing me to start traveling to some of the hottest markets like Manhattan, Scottsdale, LA, to interview some of the top agents in those markets. And every time I would do that, I would do a highlight video. Initially, I wasn't aware of what I was doing, but I was, getting shots of me in a helicopter, getting shots of me in a Rolls Royce rolling through Manhattan as we're continuing our discussion. I was marketing myself, building a personal brand, just showing my lifestyle and showing what I was doing when I wasn't on camera for my show. And I would release these videos. And then what started happening was some of the largest real estate companies at the corporate level started to reach out to me and say, hey, Jeremy, can we consult you? Can we hire you to do our marketing for our agents and for our branch? But at first I was kind of insulted, like, well, I'm a mortgage lender, so I'd love to do your loans, but I'm not a marketer. And then that turned into a lot of requests from mortgage companies, home builders, and real estate companies reaching out asking if I can help them with their marketing, more specifically with video on Facebook and Instagram. And at first, I didn't want to do that because that wasn't my vision. But I started to get so many inquiries to eventually I accepted doing a video workshop for a large lender. And at the time, he was the number one lender in Pierce County, and I think he probably still is. So I came in, I did a presentation for him, and I ended up having about 14 of the 30 people who showed up wanting to buy a video from me. And that was really the official launch of me saying, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to embrace being a marketer. And so up now to this point, we've literally have done hundreds and hundreds of videos for clients. And we're now
doing like professional agent profile videos, like me.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so not just agents, we do them for entire branches. Here's something that I'm super duper excited about and that our clients are really excited about. And there's actually going to be a whole slew of new content coming out from our company, Pool Media, here shortly, is taking macro content and breaking it down into micro content into 3 additional levels. So let me just explain that, because this is absolutely brilliant and I'm super excited about it. And I think this is the future of marketing for every company in every industry. Is we'll structure an 8-hour shoot date with not just one individual. Let's just take a mortgage branch, for instance. Now, the key to any mortgage branch is that you want to get more experience, people who already have a business, who already have a referral base selling your money, right? So you want to have a presence, you want to have a reputation that more of the top lenders in that market are underneath your umbrella selling your money. And so by using this approach, we have the ability to come into that branch once a month for 8 hours and shoot a ton of content with the intention of creating a vlog or creating a show. And so that's one macro piece of long form content that's going to be on Facebook, YouTube, and continue to live there. Then we chop up all the additional unused raw footage and turn that into additional content. So first level after the macro will be videos that are, let's say, 2 to 5 minutes long. Mm-hmm. Second layer could be stuff that's going to be shared on Instagram that's more like 15 seconds to 1 minute. And then the third level is just still shots of the team, clients, laughing, showing camaraderie, and just sharing your life. But really taking the perspective of reality TV show meets social media influencer. And so basically chopping up all this exciting, interesting content and then having it loop back to your YouTube channel and your website and your Facebook. And so that's what we're now doing, is stuff that's more on a reoccurring basis. So rather than just shoot,
you have the ability to repurpose the content that you're creating.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that keeps, for agents that are like, I need to be everywhere, I need to be on Snapchat and all these places, you can really just take that content that you already made and then repurpose it for those platforms in the way that the end user wants to experience it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Write one blog and then make that blog work for Instagram, for Google My Business, for your website. Yep. And don't kill yourself to have to create original content on every single platform. We're just going to make one piece and we're going to use it 7 times.
If we're doing, let's say, for instance, a normal video shoot, which we would do, and this is actually where this whole idea came from, is that someone would pay us, let's say, for instance, $6,000 to do 3 really high-end pieces for them. But we have 3 hours of content, stuff that never made it into the main macro piece. And so the idea came from like, well, since we have all this additional footage that's also very usable, it's just not applicable for the main video. So it's actually completely different content. It's just, we're giving you the biggest bang for your buck. And so by thinking about it and going into the video shoot with more intention, we can really maximize our time together. And rather than having to, think about creating content for the whole month, you just spend time with us for 1 day and we'll give you enough content to just blitz all your accounts for you.
So what are some of your tips for a more intentional video shoot?
Absolutely. So First thing is that you have to have vision. A lot of people go into a video shoot, or they make time to go shoot videos, and they don't have these three elements, which you absolutely have to have to go and shoot a video that is compelling, interesting, and that you're proud to share, right? Because if you're not proud to share it, you're never going to share it. And then eventually you're going to get frustrated. And then you don't want to invest time and money into creating videos to help build your brand, which is the most efficient and cost-effective way to do it. And I know this for a fact because I've done a lot of workshops on this. And my number one question is, how many of you have filmed at least 24 videos that you were excited to shoot? You knew, or you thought you kind of had some idea of what you're going to say. You shot it and you hated it and you never showed anyone. Usually when I ask that question during a workshop, everyone raises their hands and laughs. And so how you get to a point where every time you take time to shoot a video, it's a killer, it's a banger that you're really excited to share, is three things. Number one is vision. Number two, you have to know your material. And keep it simple. Maybe give like 2 to 4 points that you want to touch on. It's not necessary to have a script. And in fact, it's better that you don't have a script because it'll come off more natural. And number three, know how you're going to land. And so just to dive a little bit deeper into those things is that—
Can you repeat number one for us?
Yeah. So number one is vision. You have to know what the video is going to look like, meaning how are you going to start? What are you going to wear? What location? How's the lighting going to be? All of those things play into the success of the start, the middle, and the end of the video. And a huge part of building that vision is, what are you going to say in the first 10 seconds? Because if you can't nail the first 15 seconds or the first 10 seconds, you're going to lose confidence and you're immediately going to start having a negative dialogue in your head, which is what most people do. They start talking, and then that evil voice in their ear says, "You sound horrible. God, I hate the way you sound." This is a very, very natural thing. So if you can go into a situation where you deliver with confidence the first 10 or 15 seconds, then it's easy to ride the wave and hit all the main points and feel confident that you're doing a great job. And then you can, from the vision that you had of the video, you are anticipating a positive landing, meaning you know when to shut up. And that's so important because so many people have so much information, and once they get going and then they start feeling positive about the information and how it's coming across, they don't know when to shut up. And how you start is just as important as how you end a video.
So what's another tip? Do you have them go through the exercise of making sure that they know who they're talking to? Like, this is my client avatar. Don't shoot the video in Tacoma if you want to be known for Gig Harbor, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
in terms of
absolutely.
creating that story map.
Yes. And so again, vision is so key. Try to see the video as if it's already created, and try to put yourself in your prospective client's shoes and try to visualize it in terms of how they're going to receive it. All of that's really important. But equally as important is that you need to be true to yourself, because if you're not true to yourself and you don't believe what you're saying, that's going to come across in your messaging. You may have a beautiful location, you may be wearing the best wardrobe ever, great lighting, but if you can't deliver with confidence, meaning that you are buying whatever you're selling, first and foremost, no one else is going to buy it, or not as many people as you want.
Right. Yeah, totally. The authenticness in the real estate business is, if it's not truly authentic, it's so transparent, and there's a million of us to choose.
100%. And people, confidence is the most attractive thing. And if you can come out of the woodwork and present yourself with a smile, you're obviously very enthusiastic. You obviously know what you're doing. But if you enjoy delivering your message on video, I promise you, your audience will see that, and that emotion that you're feeling will come across. And so that's one of the main things that I do with my clients is I want to get you to a point where you feel really, really good about what you're about to say. And once you're done with the video, you're like, yes, I want to do this more. This was fun. It makes me feel good about myself. And oftentimes it's the exact opposite. They leave that situation like, I'm an idiot. I don't know my market or my business as well as I thought I did. No, that's not the case. It's just that you don't know a few simple techniques that will become skill. And since I'm somebody who's done literally hundreds, maybe even thousands of videos myself and talking on stage. I'm at a point where I can use these techniques to get myself to a point where I have ultimate confidence, to where I know what I'm saying. I'm very comfortable saying it, and I feel great saying it on camera. So once I'm done, I want to do more.
Yeah. Do you, for people who may not be investing on the professional side, what are some tips that you have for them shooting with a tripod and their cell phone?
Yeah, big. Number one is lighting. Number two is audio. You don't need super expensive equipment, but what you do need, and I can't stress this enough, you got to get yourself to a point where you know exactly what you're going to say for the first 10 to 15 seconds. I know that sounds simple, but that is the biggest difference that I'm able to help people with, because you have all the information in your head, especially if you're already successful. You have the information, because if you're sitting in front of a client, you're able to say the right things and have all the information to get that new client or that new listing. So that's not the problem. The problem is getting you to a point where you can calm down and organize your thoughts into a storyline. People who just talk off the cuff, that just means that you have a gift of gab. That just means that you're a natural born salesperson. But having the ability to be a professional public speaker, and what you're being paid to be on stage for an hour, that is way, way different, because now you have to have the ability to break down all this information and not just spray it out as a fire hose, but break it down into a storyline that literally has a beginning, a middle, and an end that's cohesive, makes sense, and it's simple enough that they can leave that event or leave your video and then go explain what they just learned to somebody else.
Yeah. And that's human nature they love stories. It's easier to memorialize and from a memory standpoint. And I do that even with Instagram stories, which of course, when I first started, I just started, which is biggest barrier. Just get comfortable, like how you hold the camera, or the right way to record it without looking like an idiot. But then understanding a story arc, even on Instagram stories. Start the day. Where are we going? If you don't want to, like, people can tap out if they don't want to be on broker tour with me, or if they don't want to go check out one of the local parks or something like that, then they know where we're going, and then it ends, and it's not a cliffhanger, and it doesn't leave people feeling weird, like, well, this just never ended. Tell me about, how the hamster, if you found the hamster or not,
Yeah, exactly. And then here's something else that has just really helped me. Again, simple tip: smile before you say anything. Put a big smile on your face before you start your video, because that is going to tell your brain, and it's going to release endorphins to your brain. And you need that rocket fuel to carry you to the first 10 to 15 seconds, because oftentimes people start off nervous, they come across nervous, and if they don't crush the first 10 or 15 seconds, the whole time you look nervous, which means, why would I trust you with my $1 million transaction when you don't even look confident talking on camera?
Right. Yeah. So good. Okay. So tell people where they can find you, because that at this time now, you're still doing the broker. That's how we connected. You called me to be on your show. So where are you at today?
Yeah. So today you can find me on Jeremy Poole on Facebook. You can find me at Poole Jeremy on Instagram. You can also find me at Poole Media Marketing Agency on Facebook. And you can also
with an E, guys. Poole. We'll link it all here in the show notes.
Yeah, and Jeremy spelled Jeramy. Previous to Poole Media, I owned a really successful real estate focused marketing company called Real Estate Social. Poole Media is only about 6 months old, but Real Estate Social has been in business since 2017, and I was the founder and CEO of that company. And on YouTube, there's probably close to about 150 videos, either me on video or our clients, or me traveling and doing highlight videos and interviews and all those kinds of things. And so definitely plenty of content to get more familiar with my work and what we do.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for all of your tips and tricks on getting more confident on camera, and we'll keep an eye out for your new course coming soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paige. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, friend.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Master Your Real Estate Marketing Podcast. You can find all of the links and information mentioned in this episode at paigeschulte.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there, I would love it if you would leave me a review. I read each and every one, and I love hearing from you. I'll see you right here next week.